The ground on which All Saints Church stands is thought to be where the origins of the village started. As traders waited for floods to subside, they made a makeshift settlement. A simple cross was replaced by a simple building, and over hundreds of years became the church you see today. It has, however, undergone many changes. By the late 12th century, the church was Norman in style. The tower doorway, the north aisle doorway, and a few heavy rough-hewn pieces of stone in the north wall are all that remain of this Norman church. It was probably the size of the current nave as it sits between the two aisles. In the 13th century, the chancel, which is considered the most holy part of the church, was added. The small window, which now houses fine stained glass, would have been open and contained a bell to summon the congregation. The roof then was steeply pitched, and evidence of this can be seen on the chancel and aisle walls. In the 14th century, the present nave and south aisle were constructed. The archway between the nave and chancel was built, and so was the tower. During this time, the walls and pillars were decorated with beautiful and colourful religious images. 1517 saw the start of the Reformation, a turbulent time in the Christian Church. Change was sought due to corruption in the Catholic Church. The Church sold indulgences or forgivenesses from sins. The rich could buy their way into heaven, while the poor could not. Most people didn't understand the Catholic Mass because it was in Latin. It was also the time when Henry VIII was in dispute with the Pope. One of the consequences of the changes was that the internal decorations at All Saints were painted over. Lucky for us, Victorian renovations revealed what we see today in the chancel. In the 1800s, churches across England, including All Saints, were restored by the Victorians, and many church interiors we see now are a result of the changes during this period. This restoration was not always to repair decay, but often to restore a church to how it might have looked during the decorated period. This period became known as Neo-Gothic. At All Saints, the stained glass was installed, along with the beautifully carved reredos. The Reverend Webb paid for the north aisle to be extended to make the church symmetrical. You can see that the arches that separate the north and south aisles from the nave have very different styles, which indicates the time in which they were made. At the beginning of the 20th century, electrical lighting was introduced to the church in the form of chandeliers. These were later replaced by spotlights. After the Second World War, there were further memorials to the fallen added to the Lady Chapel. In the 1970s, there was an issue with death watch beetle attacking the roof and dry rot affecting the floor under the organ. In 1977, the roof was repaired and the organ dismantled to remove the dry rot. Since 1996, a rolling programme of restoration and improvement has taken place. This included the restoration of the lychgate, the removal of aisle pews to give more flexible spaces, an inner door to the porch, and the construction of a new refreshment facility. Undoubtedly, in the future there will be further work done to the church, not only to maintain its fabric, but also to make it correspond with the requirements of the times.